Hello everyone, my name is Merku, and before we start today's news story, I would like to thank you all for helping me reach 100 subscribers. I wasn't expecting to reach so many so fast. I'm very happy that I was able to reach such a high subscriber count. I never really expected to have my stories be so popular, but they are, thanks to all of you. And I wanted to extend my hand out and offer y'all the ability to comment any ideas for a story that you want to hear. If you have a specific story that you would like to hear or a scenario, I would love to create a story for all of you that every one of you enjoys. But without further ado, this is the first part of What if Izuku was a Soul Eater weapon? Izuku was your run-of-the-mill kid. Nothing crazy special about him. He just seemed like a normal kid. One like every other. He had dreams of being a hero. He had dreams of helping people. He had a desire and a heart that was pure gold. Unfortunately, though, when Izuku was merely 4 years old, he went to the quirk doctor, and the doctor told him that there was no chance for him, that he had a second joint in his pinky toe just like roughly 20% of the population at this point, and that he'd be better off giving up on being a hero. Izuku was crushed. He was hurt. He was unbelievably destroyed to hear this news. And he hurt more whenever he asked his mom if he can still be a hero, and all she could do was cry, hug him, and tell him that she's sorry. Izuku didn't want to be told that, wanted someone to tell him that they're sorry for him. He didn't want people to feel sorry for him. He wanted to be told that he can be a hero, that he can reach his dreams, that he can do anything he puts his mind to, but no. He gets told sorry. And the kids at his school aren't any better. Once they find out that Izuku is quirkless, they make fun of him, they belittle him, they call him mean names, they burn, beat, abuse, do anything they basically can to hurt Izuku. And his once best friend, who he basically spent all of his time around doing everything together, they were as thick as thieves. The moment he realized Izuku was quirkless, he turned his back on him and gave him his popular nickname, Deku. Useless. Though, over the years, that would not be the only thing that Izuku would get called. And, unfortunate for him, the statistics would usually say that for a kid to be born in his generation without a quirk was basically like 1 in 100,000. It was minuscule, rarely ever seen after at this point. So the fact that he won the lottery in reverse and was dealt such a bad hand, he couldn't believe it. He was angry. He was bitter. He was frustrated. He thought to himself, how is it that even though I have the best intentions, even though I want to help people, that I'm willing to put my life on the line to help, why is it that I end up being quirkless? Why is it that someone who would gladly do the right thing if given the opportunity, was dealt such a horrible hand? He didn't understand any of it. And as he grew older, the names just got worse. He basically had to deal with a lot of slander, a lot of hurtful things being said, and unfortunately for him, the statistics in today's society for the quirkless was rather horrible. The statistics all around the world would show that usually people who were born quirkless, most of them wouldn't even reach adulthood. The large majority of them, they'd kill themselves by the time they reached age 15. And the only kind of quirkless people who had a job in this day and age were those who had it before the discrimination got so bad. So it's mostly the old generation that had a job if they were still quirkless. And the statistics don't lie. If Izuku ever actually became an adult, since he's quirkless, he'd never get a job. Nowhere in the world would he ever get a job as a quirkless individual. So the fact that he still goes on and he still lives, it's remarkable to him. And over the years, he's contemplated this. He's contemplating the mortality of his life. He's contemplated the idea of just giving up, dying, and not having to suffer through being called such horrible names. Though as the years have gone by, he's become more and more numb to the names, to where even at certain points, he thinks to himself, come on, come up with something new. Don't call me the same old quirkless slurs. Be more creative than that. Though one of the popular ones that he heard the most during his middle school years was the people would call him a null, which is a derogatory, racist, or like bigoted slur against the quirkless, meaning nothing. And he heard it on a constant basis in middle school. But as it would go, he just didn't. He just couldn't bring himself to basically like end it all. He couldn't bring himself to like metaphorically pull the trigger. He'd catch himself like before doing it, but the one thing that anchored him to life at this point and kept him from finally just saying screw it all, if this world is going to treat me so badly, I'm going to leave it behind, it was his mom. Because every time he walked up to that edge, he thought to himself, I can't hurt mom like this. I couldn't do this to her. Even if it does suck, I could never. I wouldn't be able to live with the fact that she'd have to go on with the idea of her son having left her behind like that. She was the only thing keeping him alive at this point. She was his sole reason. Even if she didn't believe in his dreams and at all, she was the only thing that gave him purpose to live until adulthood, at least. Though that's not to say that that excuse of being selfish for dying and leaving his mom behind, it got more and more hard to argue that case every day that he had to go through such discrimination. And it became harder and harder for him to try and to wake up in the morning and go, I'm gonna stick it out just a little bit longer. And for future reference, I'm going to make a note of the fact that that essentially they're like just because the quirkless people, like that there are quirkless people who are bigoted against who have like just because there's like slurs for the quirkless and all that doesn't mean that there's not support for the quirkless community. Because I'm gonna say that President Mike and Aizawa, those two are huge advocates for the quirkless community. In Aizawa's case, his reason for being an advocate for the quirkless is because of the fact that he essentially, as a underground pro hero, has to fight quirkless on a regular basis. He doesn't get the luxury of having a powerful, flashy, all around crazy quirk to rely on. His only power is to basically even the playing field and make his opponents fight quirkless too. And being that President Mike is one of Aizawa's best friends, he of course would advocate for the quirkless along with his best friend because of the fact that that even President Mike finds the discrimination of quirkless people disgusting. And I'm gonna say that on another matter, UA High, they have a zero tolerance for quirkless discrimination. It's literal zero tolerance. So if a student is caught saying the word null or saying something discriminatory towards a quirkless person, they get expelled. No arguments, no debating, nothing. They don't get a second chance, nada. It ain't happening. If even the smallest hint of something discriminatory comes out of a student's mouth, it's done. Hit the gavel, nothing. No lawyer to help them out. It's just done. They can't, because another point being, literally UA is the one hero school, and I mean the only hero school in the world to ever give the ability to have a quirkless person apply in the entrance exam. They're the only school that will take quirkless people. Only. And they are the top rated school across every nation in the world. So yeah. But back to the matter at hand, I'm gonna say that Izuku really not having people to, advocate for him in his personal life, right? No one to actually, tell him, hey, you can do this. You can be a hero if you really want to. He hasn't had anyone that believed in his dreams, right? He has put in the effort to make his dreams a reality by himself. He decided, I'm not going to just, sit here and let people talk crap about me. I'm not going to sit down and essentially let people walk all over me and tell me I'm nothing. I'm going to work as hard as I can to be a hero, right? And over the years, up until he gets into middle school, he has trained his body. He works out. He's self-taught in how to he's taught himself how to fight. And over the years, with his hero analysis notebooks, right? Not only is he analyzing heroes, but he's analyzing their fighting styles. He is copying their fighting styles, learning how they fight, how to move, how to counter it. And after he has gotten to that perfect finite point of actually learning their style of fighting, he has actually pushed himself further into the concept of improving on the fighting style. So not only is he doing his best to actually learn to fight, but he's improving the fighting. He's improving how he does it. He's making sure that he doesn't leave himself any excuses to give up. But during Like during one specific day, like towards like the end of middle school, right? Like he's in class and the teacher goes on his spiel about I was going to give you a career aptitude test, but I know you all want to be heroes, and throws all the paper in the air, leading to everyone, using their quirks. One kid is grabbing his eyeballs and pulling them out of his head. One's neck is like stretching and like wiggling around all nasty and stuff, and all of them are using their quirks except for obviously Izuku and Bakugo, who Bakugo proceeds to get on his desk and do his usual thing of, I'm gonna be the only one to get into UA out of everyone in this backwater school. I'm going to be the only one. I'm the only one who's worthy. I passed all the tests, and everyone would be lucky to be like picked up by a busted D-list hero or whatever, and that he was going to be the richest hero ever. And the teacher tells says, "Oh yeah, Midoriya, didn't you want to go to UA too?" And this just silences the whole room. Everyone goes quiet. It's dead calm. Not a sound is made. And then everyone busts out laughing. They're like, "What? The quirkless Null wants to go to UA? How laughable is that? What makes this quirkless Null think that he can do something as stupid as that?" And Izuku, he gets up and he tries to defend himself, saying that UA accepts the quirkless if they can pass the entrance exam. And Bakugo slams his hand on the table and goes, "Don't even try, you worthless Null. You'd get killed in the entrance exam." And he goes through that whole tirade of belittling, hurting Izuku, and then the teacher kind of he tells him to calm down, continues class, and as Izuku is trying to pack up everything as fast as he can, that way that he can get out of class as fast as possible to avoid Bakugo. Bakugo catches him last second and goes, "Oh look, it's one of the stalker books that weak little Null Izuku collects." And he smashes it together, and an explosion comes and burns the book before he throws it out the window. And he goes, "Don't even try to come to the entrance exam, you stupid Null, or else I'll kill you myself." And then, as Bakugo is leaving the classroom, he goes, "You know what? I have an idea, Deku. How about if you want to quirk so badly and you really want to be a hero, how about you go to the roof of the school? You take off your shoes and you take a nice, beautiful swan dive off the roof of the building and pray on your way down that you'll get born, that you'll be born in your next life with a quirk." And he just starts laughing and everything all the way out of the classroom, and his two little lackeys are laughing along with him, and Izuku is just standing there defeated. He feels like crap. He feels like he's been shoved in the dirt, told off, and Bakugo's words, they stick in his head. They sit there, and Izuku thinks to himself, he's right. I'm a quirkless Null. I'm a worthless Deku. Why am I still here? It's not like I'm going to be able to get a job. It's not like I'm going to really be able to be a hero. Why am I still here? Why am I still fighting for this? I'm wasting my time. And he continues these self-deprecating thoughts, and he just can't get out of his own head, and he thinks, I should swan dive. And he basically starts to walk up to the roof, listening to Bakugo's advice. But as he reaches the door, he thinks to himself, do I really want to be just another statistic? Do I really want to give up that easy? he says to himself, all my life I've been told off. I've been told that all the work that I could work as hard as I wanted to, and it would never get me anywhere. He's been told that he's learned that even someone with a useless quirk is better than him. Even if their quirk really doesn't do anything, that they have a better chance of being hired than even him. They have a better chance of succeeding in life than him. He's just a worthless deku, he thinks to himself. So why is he here? And does he really want to be a statistic? And Bakugo like pops up in his head, and he thinks to himself, it's funny. My greatest best friend became my biggest adversary. Became my biggest hater. Bakugo didn't betrayed me the moment that he figured out that I didn't have a unique power. And then deep down inside of him, something boils up. He feels the desire for rebellion. He feels the desire to break these chains of fate, to go against the grain, to really finally truly believe in himself over anyone else. To not let himself be bound by chains of restriction. To not let himself be bound by lies, by ridicule. He decides he doesn't want to live like a nobody. He wants to be something. That he's going to prove himself. That he's going to be a hero. And that no one's going to stop him. He lifts his chin high. And he thinks to himself, I'm not going to just lay down and die like a filthy animal. I'm going to fight for what I want to be. I'm going to put everything I have into it. I'm going to put all my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I refuse to go down like a mangy mutt. And he turns around. He makes his way to where his book was thrown, and he snatches his book up and starts making his way home, leading to a very well-known underpass. And as he goes under the underpass, he laughs to himself. He's like, from this day on, I will truly triple my efforts to become the first quirkless hero, and ain't no one gonna stop me. And he laughs like All Might until he hears what sounds like a nasty, viscous sound come from behind him, and oh dear, is there a giant, sludgy, nasty individual just standing there like a creepazoid. And Izuku goes, ugh, nasty, what the, oh god, that smell! What the hell are you? And the sludge villain, after kind of, finding his way out of the manhole through all the holes of the manhole, he goes, ugh, damn it, I wasn't expecting that freak to be in town. I really need somewhere to hide. I need to find somewhere to escape. And then when he sees Deku, he goes, hey, kid, come here. I need to borrow your body for a little bit. And he jumps towards Izuku. Now, because of Izuku's training, right? Training to be the first quirkless hero and all that, all the time that he's done and analysis that he's done to learn each individual hero's fighting styles and improve upon them and learn how to counter them. He dodges the first lunge at him, and he manages to start running with everything in him. With every fiber of his being, he jolts forward with the singular intent to escape at all cost. And once Izuku finally starts getting going, he thinks to himself, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to escape this villain? And he glances behind himself for a split second, and he sees, and he takes in the whole form of the villain, and like starts thinking to himself, okay, come on, Izuku, let's figure out a way to take out this villain. Come on, think. And like it comes to him that the sludge villain, the only part of its body that's not a disgusting, boogery, stinky, like mass of garbage, is the eyes. He thinks, okay, formulate what can I do to hit its eyes? And as the sludge villain like lunges again and says, "I gotcha, kid," Izuku slips off his backpack and he turns and throws it as hard as he can, but unfortunately he misjudged the like amount of distance that he still had away from the sludge villain. He kind of threw the bag at an awkward angle a little bit too hard, so instead of hitting instead of it coming undone and hitting the villain in the eyes, the only thing it really did was it hit just below where the mouth was on the villain, and the villain like clung on to Izuku with everything it had. And Izuku tried to close his mouth as fast as he could to keep the villain from going in his mouth, but it just said, "Come on, kid, don't be difficult. If you let me use your body, you'll really be my hero." And the sludge villain, in an attempt to get inside of Izuku's body, it starts forcing its way up his nose, through his ears, everything it could to try and get in his mouth. And this sensation of the sludge villain, being like trying to get inside of his body, and it pushing against his mouth, he fell victim to the sludge villain getting inside of his mouth along with his ears and nose. And as it started to try and like push its way down his throat and further into his ears, he thought to himself, "Dang it, I've worked so hard. I've pushed my body, I've trained. I've studied martial arts. I studied other heroes' fighting styles and improved upon them. Is this all I can do? Is this as far as I get? I was going to be the first quirkless hero. What cruel set of fate decided this?" And he cursed everything. He cursed his fate, his life. He cursed the fact that that him being the so driven to help people was dealt such horrible cards, and to die like this, suffocated by a creature that smelled like smelled so bad that it was undescribably nasty, to be forced to have it crawl down his throat and into his windpipe. He thought to himself, this is the greatest joke, that his fate just has to be some cruel joke set upon him from birth or something, that he was forsaken as early as his conception and birth. He became bitterly angry as he heard the faint sound over the sludge villain kind of trying to go inside of his ears of something hitting real hard in the distance. And as he cracks his eye open to see what it is, all he sees is a yellow tuft of hair and what looks like a person looking around frantically in every direction. And as his world starts to go a little black at the edges, and as everything starts to fade, he sees the yellow tuft of hair start making its way over to him before what sounds like the person with yellow hair yells something out, but he can't hear it. And his whole world goes dark. He thinks to himself, "I guess I'm dead." Before feeling and hearing a repeated smacking on his skin, and a guy going, "Hey, kid, you awake? You alive? You good?" And then when he opens his eyes, he sees All Might. He goes, All Might? And All Might goes, I thought I lost you there, kid. And Deku just starts like kind of backing up real fast. He goes, wait a minute, sign my notebook. And when he opens up, he's like, oh my god, you signed it. This will be a treasure for generations to come. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And All Might is like, no problem, kid. But heroism never sleeps, so I gotta get this guy to the police station. And Izuku goes, wait, All Might, wait. And All Might says, I can't. And then he just like jumps off. But Izuku, barely gets him. Barely gets him. Like this time, his arms are like tightly wrapped around All Might's foot, so tight that like he's praying to any higher power. He's like, for all that is good, and for as much as as any higher power seems to take pleasure in the fact of making my life a living hell, do not let this man's shoe slip off. And All Might goes, well, what the heck? I love my fans, but this is too much. And he starts trying to get Izuku off, but Izuku like trying the hardest. He goes, if you do that, I'll die. He's like, oh shoot, you're right. And he starts looking around for a place to land. And as they land, Izuku is just freaking out. He's like, I almost died. And as All Might starts just before All Might like takes off again, Izuku goes, please wait, I have a question. And All Might goes, I don't have time, kid. He goes, and Izuku like just before All Might takes off, he goes, I've trained real hard. Can someone who's trained real hard become a hero like you, even though they're quirkless? And this makes All Might hesitate for a second. He goes, what? And Izuku basically, he tells All Might, for as far back as I can remember, I've trained my body, heart, soul, and mind to become a hero like you. But at the age of 4, I was told that I should give up on my dreams, that I could never get there. The only thing motivating me was the fact that I wanted to be like you and my mom. I've trained hard. I've built the muscle. I taught myself martial arts. I learned fighting styles from watching heroes. And I've improved those fighting styles. I've put everything that's inside of me into being a hero like you, so that I could save people with a smile on my face and reassure them that everything will be okay just like you. And by this point, a noticeable amount of like smoke and mist is kind of coming off of All Might. So like he's already starting to transform back, but like continuing with Zuko, he's like, no one ever believed in me. No one. And I've decided I want to be the first quirkless hero. But I want to know, All Might, you are my idol. Do you believe that someone who is trained as hard as I have, that's put in the time, energy, the sweat, the blood, and tears, can still be a hero? And when Izuku looks up, the smoke is kind of dispersing a bit, and all he sees is like a skeleton of a man sitting there with blood like kind of pooling out of his mouth. He's like, what the heck? Where'd All Might go? Wait, you're an imposter, a fake. And All Might goes, I assure you, kid, I'm not a fake. And he just like starts spewing blood again, and Izuku screams, ah! Like how he does in canon. And All Might, like, he flops back against the wall and he goes, well, kid, you already saw me in this form, so I might as well tell you. He pulls up his shirt and he goes, about 6 years ago, I got this wound from a villain. And Izuku goes, you mean the fight from Toxic Chainsaw? He's like, you know your stuff, kid, but no. The fight where I got this injury was never televised. I made sure it was never televised because it would destroy morale of the people if their number one hero, their symbol of peace, was not so gracefully beaten to a bloody pulp and almost killed in front of them. So I did my best to keep it off the air. But now I'm restricted to only be able to do actual hero work for 3 hours a day, and the rest of the time I look like this. And he goes over the semantics of like how he's doing it, like the whole like puffing out his chest when kind of example to look like hot stuff at a pool. And he tells Izuku about how technically like he's like because of the wound he's missing, I think he was missing lung and most of his stomach. And he goes, and back to your question, kid. I want you to know that I don't think you can be a hero, and I couldn't, in good conscience, tell you to follow your dreams to be a hero. Because if you think about it, right, if the number one hero, the symbol of peace, can get a wound like this, what you could end up much worse. And he's trying to let the kid down gently, by the way. And I'm trying to make it as logical as possible. But, like, he basically tells the kid that if he told him that he could be a hero and then, like, in the future he just gets obliterated, murdered, slaughtered by a villain, that would haunt him for the rest of his life. That he would never be able to forgive himself for giving a quirkless kid like false hope that they could be a hero and then them end up dying like while they were still young. He tells them that he needs to like he should be realistic and go for a profession that to be a policeman, to basically or be an investigator or something, just not a hero. And mind you, when you think about it, technically it is logic. Like what he's saying is logical, even if it's not what Izuku wants to hear. It's logical. It's true. He's trying his best to look out for the kid's best interests. He's just not coming out in the nicest sounding way possible. But aside from that, he tells Izuku that like all the training he's done, it's remarkable, that he's impressed at the kid's determination, his ability to kind of roll with the punches, and like his drive to do anything it takes to reach his goals. But he just can't tell him what he wants to hear. Like he said, if something happens to him, then it would eat away at his conscience for the rest of his life. And Izuku, he just hangs his head low. And I'm going to say that he doesn't fully realize that he's being like a quirkist against a quirkless person, right? Like he doesn't realize that he's like what he's saying is coming off kind of discriminatory, because in his head, right, he's trying to save a kid who is actively trying to enter a career that could kill him. In every essence of the word, it could kill him. But it's just not coming out the right way. Now, after that whole spiel is over, Izuku just kind of after that, he lifts his head. He says, I understand, All Might. I'm sorry for wasting your time. He just doesn't know what to say. He's just at a loss for words, which is valid, because he's hurting. He doesn't know what to say. He just wants to help people, but not even his idol believes in him. And All Might, like he takes off, like going like down the building, and he realizes that the sludge villain escaped from his grasp. And after after all that, an explosion is heard in the distance, right? And All Might, he runs in that direction, and Izuku, he's going, he's also gotten to the, or he's still on top of the building, right? But he's just sitting on the edge. He's like, what was I expecting? Was I actually expecting for the number one hero to be the one person to tell me I could do it? Was I actually expecting that maybe, just maybe, I'd finally have someone to tell me that I could do it? And he looks over the edge of the building. He's like, no one's here to stop me right now. So why don't I just do it? Why don't I do everyone a favor and just peace out? He takes a deep breath, and just as he's sliding off, just about before he slides off the building, he hears an explosion in the distance, which freaks him out and causes him to push himself back up onto the ledge and technically fall back onto the ground. And he goes, wait a minute, what's going on? And he looks over the barrier kind of that he was sitting on, and he sees smoke in the distance with with fire. And he goes, oh shoot, another villain. And he starts making his way down the building, and he's kind of excited, but then he hear All Might's words go back through his head, and he slows his pace. He's like, yeah, he's like, he's not he still wants to go see what's going on, but he's not in a rush because of what All Might said, and it's still going through his head. And he gets to the bottom of the building and basically starts walking it over to where everything is happening. And once he pushes through the crowd and sees what's going on, he sees the sludge villain, and it occurs to him, oh no, whenever I was holding on to All Might earlier, the sludge villain must have fallen out. He says to himself, it's my fault. He escaped, and he's got someone. He feels horrible. He feels like crap. And as he's as he's got his hands covering his mouth because he feels sick, he looks over and he sees the skeletal man of the skeleton form of All Might, just a little bit to his right, and he thinks and he looks around and he sees all the other pro heroes, and they're doing nothing. The person's choking and they're doing nothing, and All Might's right there, but he doesn't have any more time left, and he just feels queasy and sick, and he's like, this is all my fault. If I didn't waste All Might's time, he could have gotten the sludge villain to the police, and now someone else is paying for my greed, for my selfishness. And he looks up and Viridian green eyes meet blood red. Everything goes silent in Izuku's head. Time stops. And then he jolts forward with everything he has. And he goes, "This time I won't miss." And he jumps with his backpack, and he's holding his backpack in one arm, and he's holding like a couple of pencils like in between his in between his fingers, like on his left hand. And as he throws the backpack hits the villain, and and the villain kind of like recoils back, but Izuku is still running as hard as he can, and he jumps up with the two pencils that are in his hands, and he tries going for the villain's eyes, and he actually, this is gonna sound gross, he actually gets the villain in the eye, and like, I guess you could say pokes his eye out, and the villain reaches up and like covers its eye that has technically by this point now been stabbed out, and like Bakugo's like face is kind of like uncovered a little bit, and Izuku is digging with everything he's got, and to get the nasty, viscous, disgusting sludge off of him. And as Izuku is trying to like get it out, Bakugo yells, "What are you doing here, you stupid null?" Which, by the way, there are cameras, so people were able to hear what he just called Izuku. And like, pro heroes are kind of like now they're jumping in, trying to help like save Izuku, but it's futile. The sludge villain, after removing the two pencils from his eye, that is now garnered as that like is now useless. Like, his eye is completely effed up. There's no saving it. He looks at Izuku and goes, "I'm gonna kill you, you worthless brat!" And he swings his arm down, but then as it's about to connect, his arm like weirdly kind of almost looks like it's just smacked away by an invisible force around Izuku. And Izuku isn't paying attention. He's still trying to dig Bakugo out of the slime. And as Izuku is as the slime is kind of taking over Bakugo all over again, Izuku, he feels that there's something going on with him. He doesn't understand why the hit didn't connect. But as the sludge villain gears up for another swipe, All Might comes in to try and tank it, but then a mysterious slash mark kind of flicks his across his cheek, and before he tanks the hit, and he goes, and he thinks to himself, "What just cut me?" He looks at Izuku and goes, "I really am a failure of a hero, huh? Preaching on about the heart of a hero without putting in basically the whole thing, where he's but not having the guts to back it up." And he hits the sludge villain again, and it just blows up, explodes, and it just and he hit it so hard it changed the weather. And after that, people are going crazy. They're ecstatic. They're like, whoa, what the heck? Whoa, right? He changed the weather, and I'll retcon it later if people want me to. But I'm gonna say that all of the cameras that were recording the whole thing, like like because of all the fire, the cameras didn't pick up the whole him calling Izuku a null thing, but like back to the fact of matter, like All Might, like he raises his hand up to his cheek, and he sees blood there, and he feels the cut on his cheek go from like the next to his chin, like up to his left sideburn. So from the left of his face next to his chin to his sideburn, there is a shallow, like very thin slice that is now bleeding a little bit, on him. He's like, what could have cut me? And Izuku is just sitting there like, whoa. But what he didn't know was that this was his, that Izuku doesn't have a quirk. What he has is something that was dormant in his blood that has now awakened. I'm gonna say that Izuku's powers are separate from quirks itself. That's why he was deemed quirkless. But the demon weapon gene inside of his blood activated, causing him to develop a demon weapon, but kind of in the same vein as Maka at the final episode, where she kind of went unconscious. She didn't and she didn't know she was creating weapons out of her body. Izuku was so kind of zoned into getting Bakugo out, and since his body was moving before his mind could catch up to it, that's why why the first hit from the sludge villain couldn't connect, and why All Might had that shallow slice go across his cheek. And Izuku, he's thinking to himself, having so many things go through his mind. He's having a hard time kind of catching up to real time at the moment. And I'm going to say that that he is not going to be limited to one specific weapon. My story, my rules. If you don't like it, you can suggest a weapon for yourself. But I'm going to keep his weapon form anonymous. But I'm going to say that he has he can do multiple forms of weapons. And since technically he has Soul Eater powers, I'm going to say that he's going to have a Meister, but that's going to require him to find his Meister that's able to wield him to his best capacity and match soul wavelengths. Secondarily, I'm going to say that I'm going to leave it up to you. Y'all decide whether he goes down the route of a hero or he goes down the route of a villain. But continuing on, the whole thing goes down, and this time All Might was not able to find Izuku. He just gets scolded by the other pro heroes, and he has that encounter with Bakugo where he tells him that he didn't need his help, and he just goes home. And he sits on his bed and he thinks to himself, what could that have been? Because he knows that he feels like there's something going on in his body. He knows that Like, he feels like something has changed inside of him, but he just doesn't know what. And he lays down in his bed, and he thinks to himself that maybe that, like, he's just too tired to, like, to deal with this. He doesn't want to, like, deal with having to, like, think about this whole thing anymore. He was told off by his hero. He basically was suicide baited, like, after school, and had an altercation with the same villain twice today. He's out of energy. He doesn't want to deal with this. He's just ready to kind of, go to sleep and, like, let all of the day's kind of, like, events just go, He just doesn't want to do it. He's too tired. But, essentially, I think that's where I'm going to leave the first part of What If Izuku had Soul Eater powers go. Or I'm going to leave it off at. And I do hope you all enjoyed. And don't forget, the shadows are watching.